Hello Virgo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my February 2020 horoscope report for you. This month is a magical month where most of the aspects that are occurring this month are really sweet, and I feel like we really need this because even though the eclipse season of December and January could have brought in many wonderful things, I also know that it's very likely brought in some seriously stressful things and challenges. And this month is sort of a little rest, a time to integrate. It's not that there won't also be things occurring or things carrying through that had begun from the eclipse changes, but the sweet aspects are giving like a little buoy, a little rest point, a little integration point, and I feel like that's something to be excited about. The first week is a very monumental week in terms of the whole year of 2020, so the first week of February, because as we move deeper into the month of February, we start to get into the Mercury retrograde post or pre-shadow period. So those energies that I've been telling you about for a while, that will start to be personal planet retrograde focused from February for the whole rest of 2020, is starting this month. So anything that you need to do that's a really big deal, big decisions, major plans, big launches, this first week of February is this last point that you have before the rolling inward and backward of the tides. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do anything for 2020. That is just absolutely not true. There are so many things you can do, and there will be some little bubbling up times that you can push some things through throughout the year if you can't get your things done now, but the momentum is starting to go backwards, and that's just something that makes the first week of the month really critical. So it's exciting though, because all these aspects are super sweet. So if you have to buy a new car, buy a new device, move, sell your house, buy a house, anything like that, try to do stuff with your job, with your business, try to cram that into the first week. That's part of why I give you these a month early, so that you don't all of a sudden hear the surprise like, hey, do everything now, and you didn't have time to plan. In general, for Virgo, we've got planets still moving through Aquarius, which are not in the best harmony for you all. So there's going to be a little bit of awkwardness as this air energy comes and makes an awkward angle, but the Pisces energies are starting to come in, and that can tone that down a little bit. Now, what the Pisces energies do for Virgo partly is they help to bring a counterbalance to the extremes of how you are and how you live. Virgo energies can be very analytical, very focused, very task-oriented, hardworking, organized. And the Pisces energies bring some counterbalance to that. So bring, more rest, more intuitive focus over logic, more, ethereal and artistic focus over, detail-oriented and task-oriented, more stuff in the backdrop rather than just like the stuff you have to do in a normal day-to-day basis. So in that way, I really love the Pisces time for you all, and because it's a good counterbalance. So I'm excited about that for you. Something that it does tend to bring also is overstimulation. Whenever we have planets that are moving in a 180-degree angle to our placement, that causes this like pull this way, pull this way, pull this way, pull this way. And the balance is usually achieved by, just trying to put as many kids. Okay, this is how I always think about this. If you ever play the game when you were little, or maybe as you're older with your kids or whatever, where you try to get an even amount of people on a seesaw to get it to balance, well, that's what this is like. So you've got like a whole bunch of energy in Virgo from how you usually do your life, and so the Pisces section is just kind of like up in the air with this heavy focus on the Virgo. And then as the Pisces planets come, they're like putting kids on the side of the other seesaw end, and it's bringing it into balance. And sometimes you have to struggle to keep that balance. You have to hold it. You have to everyone has to stay in their position. And that's what it's like. It's an overstimulation where you're being pulled in two different directions. So expect to be busy, but also expect to be able to achieve your superhuman, balancing act. Venus is going to be smooching your 7th house, and this is true for all early, middle, and late degree placements. So no matter where you are in the Virgo spectrum, I've been speaking to all of you, and if there's something different, I'll let you know, but otherwise just assume that all of this is for all Virgo placements. So all of you are going to have Venus kissing your 7th house. And Venus rules the 7th house, and planets are always happiest where they are, where they live. They feel most comfortable. So what that means is that the blessings of Venus, so think of my Grandma Marge, okay? Remember, my Grandma Marge would come with a meatball for sustenance, come with some money, for, monetary care. She'd give me a kiss, compliments. And so whenever we are looking at Venus, we want to look at Grandma Marge. Her house is comfortable. It's just like a sweetness, a cooperation. So when Venus moves through your house of partnerships, relationships, any discord that had been occurring has a chance to be smoothed over. You could have harmonious sweet spots if you're looking to meet somebody, whether it's for a business, a friendship, or a romantic context. There's an increased chance of that. And just, and money coming through your partnerships, good opportunities within your relationship space. So that's very exciting. And that is true for all placements again. Now, while we're on this topic of relationships, there's something that I want to talk about that's really exciting. So if you've ever really closely followed astrology, you notice that almost all of the archetypal energies we talk about are male figures. So it's just the moon and Venus really that have that female voice. Well, there are star goddesses, and they're not as much discussed, but they've been talking to me over years, and they've been wanting me to bring out their voice more. So you're going to see me start discussing some of the placements of the star goddesses. So one that wants to come out right now is Juno. And Juno is a star goddess that also rules the sector of relationships. Now she's moving through the sign of Libra, which again is this 7th house. So there's this focus on relationships. And so Juno is bringing the message for everybody to really focus on getting help, partnering with people, collaborating, not doing things on your own, delegating, spreading workload, staying, either staying within your section and letting other people do their stuff, or figuring out a plan where work can be spread out. For you all who are in the, for all Virgos, there are certain messages that she's giving, and that have to do with your finances, okay? So this means if you need help with your finances, whether it's through an accountant, or whether it's through credit recovery, or whether it's through getting a loan, or whether it's through just needing more money and support, Juno is here, and she'll be here for a while because she's in an interesting retrograde pattern that's keeping her in this place for a really long time, like from the end of September of 2019 until the September of 2020, or like the end of 2019 until almost the end of 2020. So this is unusual. Usually she's not in one sign for that long. So this is speaking to a very long-term process of getting help, asking for help. And this is a theme for everybody. But specifically for Virgos, this has to do with money. Your budget, your financing, getting sustainable, getting where you're not losing money every month or going in debt every month, and clearing up your financial situation, improving your financial situation. Your keys to that, according to Juno, are going to be in your relationships and in getting help from other people. Those of you towards the end of the sign, so we'll say especially a week to 10 days towards the end of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees if you watch for your moon or rising sign. This more has to do with your getting yourself, things within yourself worked out before you get your finances worked out. So figuring out what you want to do when you grow up, figuring out, certain health things, certain things involving your image, whether it's redefining your image of what you came here to do and presenting yourself that way. So maybe you need a stylist, maybe you need someone who help you with your clothes, maybe you need someone who help you with your brand. Maybe you need somebody who is a scout that can help you get into a job or create the image that you want within your workspace of what you're trying to do. So Juno is telling you that you really may need to have somebody else's help, and that you're not going to get as far as you would if you're trying to do it alone. All right, so that's a big message while we're on the topic of relationships. Something else that's coming up as really important for Virgos this month has to do with your home and family sector. So Mars is going to be moving through that sector, and that's again for all early, middle, and late degree placements. This is true for Moon, Rising, Sun, and Virgo. Whatever you're watching for, all these things are true for all of you. And Mars, wherever Mars goes, I call Mars the border collie of the zodiac. And that's you find yourself really passionate about that area of life when Mars goes through there. So like getting restless, wanting to move, getting restless, wanting to take a trip, getting restless, wanting to redo your house, redecorate, redesign, buy a new house, buy a second home, do something different with your home space. You know, maybe if you have a real estate, property, like do something different with it, maybe start Airbnb, or, something that has to do with utilizing your home space, getting into real estate, doing work with real estate or construction or design projects, things like that. So anything big that you have to do that's like a long-lasting change, again, kind of look towards the beginning of the month for those things, to try, because as you get into Mercury retrograde, you might start to doubt, second guess. But if you start the ball rolling at the beginning of February, then you can have this whole retrograde process to be tweaking and updating and adjusting and things like that. So if you want to buy a house, if you want to sell a house, there's a lot of energy around that at this time. This also has to do with family. So getting your family relations on track. This can have to do with like working with argumentative energy in the home or in the, extended family, solving family issues. And with Venus in that relationship sector that we talked about before, it could help some to bring some softening or bring some solutions that you might need. This fourth house is also the house of your inner world. So those people who are inclined towards spiritual development or psychological or emotional developments, you might find that your keys to healing have to do with past trauma, past life, genetic, genealogical, ancestral issues. Sometimes issues that we have going on are exact imprints, if you do research into the history of your family, are exact situations that they had. There's this imprinting that occurs through the DNA process that you can see, that I can see through the charts, that are talking about these experiences not having happened just now. They're echoing over time. So your keys to solving repetitive problems or like deeply rooted issues could go further back, and this fourth house often speaks to the genetics, the ancestry, the past life, however you view that word or that definition. So you might find yourself interested in or needing to do some inner work, and that's really a common storyline of these retrogrades, is that you want to advance, and especially in the beginning of the month there's a good chance for that. But sometimes in order to advance, you have to take some steps back. And the retrogrades provide the impetus and the resources to take the steps back to go over things, so that when the energies start, popping up or moving forward again, then you've done the work, you've done the groundwork, you've figured certain things out, and then you have more information you need to move forward. This also can have to do with things having to do with estates, estates, family estates, or like things that were left to you that could have value that you're doing research for. If you're not sure that you're getting the best price, in the beginning of the month, again, is like, there might be some shining moments there for some things to fall through. But if you feel uneasy about it, take extra time to look into the details, because the way the transits are working and the way things are lining up in your chart are really leaning towards, you may have to do more work on this or look more into it. In general, I think it's a very exciting month, especially after the drama of and the kind of push forward of December and January. These eclipses were like, I know personally, if I told you what had gone on for me during these eclipses, you wouldn't even believe it. They're really, 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 really potentially life-changing. And I'm looking forward to this time in February for myself and for all of you, as hopefully a time to kind of gather your energies and gather your wits and get together a plan from the drama and possibly trauma that occurred in the months before. So I love that month for, this month for that. I love it for pulling through some important things, or if you're not sure, like starting to get the ball rolling for some important things. There are definitely more sweet aspects than salty ones. So in general, there's a really sweet mood to the month. Some of those awkward things that are still pushing through that started in January will push through pretty quickly and are not the main dominant storyline for Virgos. So in general, I'm very excited about this month, and it's a month we want to well use, especially that beginning time, thinking about how we're going to have like a very inward and backward focus for the rest of the year. So if you'd like to have more resources to understand the astrology of this time and how to best use it, I have so many free resources. You can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I do a write-up of the general transits, including all of the sweet, all of the salty aspects, what they are, what you can expect from them. All of that's delivered to your inbox 1 month early. Also, you get my free 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine when you sign up for my free email newsletter. I do written horoscopes on my website, cozybysweetstarlight.com, and all of these website links that I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath each video. So if you don't catch it, you can just go use those notes or those links. So AnnieHelpsYou.com has tons of blogs about astrology. CozyBySweetStarlight.com has tons of astrology for wellness and other blogs. I have a new series, Herbal Teas, for each of the sign, the sun moving through each of the signs, and it's just a beautiful site too. So you'll want to see it. Definitely check out my program, Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. So if you've wanted to do astrology as part or all of a profession, or just learn to use it for yourself and your family to improve your relationships in your life, you definitely want to go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, or you can go to anniehelpsyou.com. You can get there also and check out my very, very, very comprehensive course that can take you from studying astrology casually to doing astrology professionally, or anywhere in between that you want to do. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.